dugsiga boardingka iyo maalinlaha ah ee Amano Boarding and Day School.
Hello grade 6, welcome to our social lesson. My name is Teacher Eric. I'll take you through correction to the previous work that we did last time in our first lesson. And just to begin with, we had some questions that I gave you to look at. Question number 1, as you can see on our screen. In which year did the British occupy Somaliland? In which year did the British occupy Somaliland? The British occupied Somaliland in the year 1884. That was supposed to be the answer. Then write any 4 reasons why the British occupied Somaliland. We looked at all those reasons, and one was to get meat for their soldiers in Yemen. Remember, we said that the British were in Yemen before they crossed into Somaliland through the Gulf of Aden. Then the second answer was to get charcoal or firewood for their soldiers in order to prepare their food. And the other one was to monitor ships that sail through the Indian Ocean and the Red Sea together with the Gulf of Aden. And the last answer was to get free labor from Somaliland. Then the third question was list any 3 agreements signed between the Somaliland leaders and the British. These agreements, we looked at them last time, and as you know very well, A, the first one, was that no British woman would deliver babies on Somaliland soil, and B was no part of Somaliland would be given or taken away by the British. And the other one was that the British government would respect the culture and even religion of the people of Somaliland. Then those are actually some of the questions that we did, the revision questions that I gave you last time, which I assume that you attempted to find answers. And if you didn't, then you'll have to make corrections. The struggle for independence from the British, that is what we look at in our lesson today. And when we talk about the struggle for independence, we are looking at how the people of Somaliland began fighting for freedom. Because when the British occupied Somaliland, later on, after making the boundaries and ruling the people of Somaliland by force, by taking their rights away, the people of Somaliland were not happy. So what did they do? They had to fight the British. And how did they do that? It was through their national leaders, leaders that led people in fighting, waging war against the British. Now, the map of Somaliland here shows how the British had given or drawn borders between Somaliland and other countries. If you look here toward the south, the British divided Somaliland and separated it actually from Ethiopia. On the other side, we had Djibouti. They had to make these borders. Now, these borders were made by the British, and that agitated, that made the people of Somaliland to be very annoyed, to be angry, and to feel like their rights were being taken away. Now, what did they do? They had to fight for their freedom. Now, moving ahead, we shall see that the people of Somaliland did not like the British rule in Somaliland. Like any other country, the people of Somaliland did not like the British rule because the British had taken away almost everything that belonged to the people of Somaliland. They had taken their land, they had taken their livestock, they had taken their charcoal and trees. Now, they prepared military and forces in order to fight against the British rule. How did they prepare the military? Because they had their own army actually, but this army were not well equipped. Some of them had learned how to shoot, very few people who had participated sometimes in previous wars. Then there were national leaders who helped to fight the British. These national leaders are people who helped to organize the people of Somaliland into groups. They managed to talk to them, to make them to harden, to be strong in order to fight for their own freedom. Now, who were these national leaders? We looked at them even in our previous classes. One of them was Sheikh Bashir. We know that. We also had Farah Omar and we had Sayid, Mohamed, Abdullah, Hassan. These are three key people, important leaders, heroes who helped to fight for independence, who helped to fight for freedom. They organized the people of Somaliland into a strong military. Now, the war against the British, how they began fighting the British from the bushes, from the forests, was in the year 1900 throughout the year 1921. So these 2 years are very important. This is when they waged that war. So it is very important for you to know that in the year 1900 to 1921, this is when this war took place. But during that time, the British war planes or aeroplanes, the fighter jets, destroyed the military camps of the people of Somaliland that were fighting them. They destroyed these military camps. They killed a lot of people who were fighting them. They managed to destroy them. Now we repeat that the key people who helped to fight for freedom in Somaliland, who are regarded as heroes, they helped the people of Somaliland to gain independence. One of them was Sayid, Mohamed, Abdullah, Hassan, and second one was Farah, Omar, and also Sheikh Bashir. They helped to fight for freedom. It is important to note that. Moving forward, we look at the major confrontation or the major war. Confrontation is war. Now, the major confrontation took place in two regions. These two regions were the regions of Togder and Sanag regions. Togder and Sanag. We shall later on be looking at where these regions are located, whether they are neighboring regions or not. But major confrontation, major war against the British took place in these two regions between the year 1900 and the year 1921. Good. Now, as we had said earlier, that the military camps of the Somaliland army of the fighters were destroyed. The Somaliland army fighters were destroyed by the British warplanes in 1921. Now, what happened to the three people who are helping to fight for independence? One, we say that Sayid Mohamed was forced to flee. To flee is actually a word that means to run away. He was forced to run away because he was being looked for by the British military, by the British army. So he was forced to flee or to run away. Now, what about the others, like Farah Omar? What happened to him? Farah Omar was actually arrested. He was arrested, and the reason for his arrest was because he was talking to people, preaching to people, telling people not to pay taxes, telling people to be strong and fight this enemy, their enemies who had come to rule them by force. And so, as you see here on our screen, Farah Omar told people not to pay tax to the British. This annoyed the British, who arrested him, took him to prison, where he later died. And as a result, people have honored him. The people of Somaliland remember him up to this day because he died fighting for their freedom. And as a result, the government had to build a secondary school in Hargeisa named Farah Omar Secondary School, which is built in Hargeisa in honor, or to honor, the freedom fighter who died fighting for the rights of the people of Somaliland. Okay? Then, here, as you can see, on our map here, the map of Somaliland, you can see these regions. Initially, as we had said, that the major confrontation, major war, during the years 1900 to the year 1921 took place in two regions. These two regions, as you can see, are here. The first region, as you can see, here was Sanag. Sorry. And the other region was Togder. So, just to sum up what we had done here, we said, there's something that we had said, that the major confrontation took place here in two regions, Sanag and Togder. regions. This is what we have learned today in our lesson. And just to sum up, we have talked about important things, that the major confrontation between the people of Somaliland and the British army and soldiers took place between the years 1900 to the year 1921, where now the military camps of the people of Somaliland fighters were destroyed by the war planes. And these major confrontations or major fights or major war took place in two regions, the region of Togder and Sanag, as you can see here on our map. And we said that there are three people, heroes, who helped to fight for freedom in Somaliland. These people here were, one, we said already, Sayid, Mohamed, Abdullah, Hassan, and two, we said we had Farah, Omar, and three, we said we have Sheikh Bashir. They helped to fight for freedom. Later on, we said, and we saw actually, that Sayid Mohamed had to flee away, to run away, because he was being looked for in order to be killed or arrested. But we look at now Farah Omar, because he used to incite people. He used to tell people not to pay tax. He used to tell people to fight the British whenever they saw them. He was arrested, taken to prison, where he later died. Now, later on after this lesson, I'll be giving you some questions to attempt to try and gauge your understanding, whether you followed the lesson or whether you have to try and watch again so that you can now answer the questions. Thank you for watching. Have a nice time.